Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Practical Learning Assets. So today I am here with a video on questions and answers of Chapter 1 Constitution, Why and How of Political Science Class 11. You can say them as notes also. These would be very helpful if you guys prepare these notes before your exams because I have taken out a small summary of the entire chapter in form of questions and answers. So let's start the video. The very first thing is the definitions. These are the words which are used frequently in the chapter and whose meanings could be asked in the exam. So the first is republic. A country is said to be republic when it is ruled by elected heads and not by king or queen. Sovereignty. A country is said to be sovereign country when it is able to take its internal external decisions itself. Secularism. A country is secular country when there is no official religion of the state. People can preach, profess any religion of their choice and people of different religions live together. This is secularism. Then universal adult franchise. It means right to vote enjoyed by everyone without any discrimination. Then constitution. It is a set of rules and regulations according to which a country governs or government runs a country. Then comes the first question. Why do we need a constitution? Or what are the functions of the constitution? The answer to this question is very simple. The functions are to provide a set of basic rules that allow for minimal coordination amongst members of a society, to specify who has the power to make decisions in a society, and it decides how a government will be constituted, to set some limits on what a government can impose on its citizens, and these limits are fundamental in the sense that government may never trespass them. Then to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of a society and create conditions for a just society. These are the functions of the constitution: to provide a set of basic rules that a country needs to follow, then to specify that who has the power to make what decision, then to set the limits about what powers the government can exercise, then to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of the people. Then comes next question, that is, what is mode of promulgation? As we discussed in the video, this refers to how a constitution comes into being. Now in many countries, constitutions remain defunct because they are crafted by military leaders or leaders who are not popular and do not have the ability to carry the people with them. Then in most successful constitutions like Indian, South African and the United States, the constitutions were created in the aftermath of popular national struggles or national movements. Then the constitution drew enormous legitimacy from the fact that it was drawn up by the people who enjoyed immense public credibility. The leaders who drafted the Indian constitutions, they were famous and they were popular. People had faith in them. Some countries have subjected their constitution to a full-fledged referendum where all the people vote on the desirability of a constitution. But the Indian constitution has never subjected to such a referendum, nevertheless carried enormous public authority because it had the consensus and backing of leaders who were themselves popular. Although the constitution itself was not subjected to a referendum, the people adopted it as their own by abiding by its provisions. Then comes define balanced institutional design. Now well-crafted constitutions, they fragment their power in society intelligently so that no single group can subvert the constitution. Then this is often done by fragmenting the power across different institutions. Now Indian constitution has done this by horizontally fragmenting powers across different institutions like legislature, executive and judiciary, and even independent entities like election commission. Then an intelligent system of checks and balances has facilitated the success of the constitution. And another important aspect of intelligent institutional design is that a constitution must be flexible and also rigid at the same time. Successful constitutions, they strike the right balance between preserving core values and adapting them to new circumstances. By striking a balance between the possibility to change the provisions and the limits on such changes, the Constitution has ensured that it will survive as a document respected by people. The fourth question is, how was the Indian Constitution made? The Constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly, which had been elected for undivided India. It had its first sitting on 9 December 1946 and it reassembled as a Constituent Assembly for divided India on 14th August 1947. Its members were chosen by indirect election by the members of provincial legislative assemblies that had been established under the Government of India Act 1935. Constituent Assembly was composed roughly along the lines that were suggested by the plan proposed by the Committee of the British Cabinet known as the Cabinet Mission. Now, as in this question, we talked about Cabinet Mission. The next question is, what was the Cabinet Mission? The Cabinet Mission was according to this plan that each province or princely state or group of states were allotted seats proportional to their respective population. Now, as a result of this, provinces were to select 292 members while the princely states were allotted a minimum of 93 seats. Then the seats in each province were distributed among the three main communities, Muslims, Sikhs and General, in proportion to their respective populations. Members of each community in the Provincial Legislative Assembly elected their own representatives by the method of proportional representation with single transferable vote. The method of selection in the case of representatives of princely states was to be determined by consultation. Now, if you guys are going according to my notes, then please make sure that you learn this question by heart, because this question is very important by the examination point of view. Moreover, MCQ questions or 1-mark questions can also be extracted from this part. So please do learn this question or do read this part from the book very carefully. The next question is, what was the composition of the Constituent Assembly? As the consequence of the partition, under the plan of 3rd June 1947, those members who were elected from territories which fell under Pakistan ceased to be members of the Constituent Assembly. The number of members in the Constituent Assembly was reduced to 299. The Constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949 and 284 members were actually present on 24 Jan 1950 and appended their signature in the Constitution as finally passed. The Constitution came into force on 26th Jan 1950. Members of all religions were given representation in the Constituent Assembly. The Assembly had 28 members from the scheduled castes, and in terms of political parties, Congress dominated the Assembly, occupying as much as 82% of the seats in the Assembly after the partition. This is yet another important question. Moreover, the second, third and the fourth points are also very important from MCQ type or 1-mark type questions. Then comes, discuss the principle of deliberation. The authority of the Constituent Assembly comes from the procedures it adopted to frame the Constitution and the values its members brought to their deliberations. Each member deliberated upon the Constitution with the interests of the whole nation in mind. Almost every issue that lies at the foundation of a modern state was discussed with great sophistication. Only one provision of the Constitution was discussed without virtually any debate. That was introduction of universal suffrage. The Constitution drew its authority from the fact that members of the Constituent Assembly engaged in what? one might call public reason. Then the members of the assembly placed a great emphasis on discussion and reasoned argument. The voluminous debates deserved to be memorized as one of the most significant chapters in the history of constitution making, equal in importance to the French and American revolutions. Then comes discuss the procedures taken by Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly had 8 major committees on different subjects. Usually Jawaharlal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Patel or B.R. Ambedkar chaired these committees, and these were not men who agreed with each other on many things. Ambedkar had been a bitter critic of the Congress and Gandhi, accusing them of not doing for the upliftment of scheduled castes. Patel and Nehru disagreed on many things. Nevertheless, all of them worked together. Each committee usually drafted particular provisions of the constitution, which were then subjected to debate by the entire assembly. Every single argument, query or concern was responded to with great care and in writing. The assembly met for 166 days, spread over 2 years and 11 months, and its sessions were open to the public and the press. This question was yet another important question from examination point of view. Then comes define objective resolution. The best summary of the principles that the nationalist movement brought to the Constituent Assembly is the objective resolution, the resolution that defined the aims of the Assembly and moved by Nehru in 1946. This resolution encapsulated the aspirations and values behind the Constitution. Based on this resolution, our Constitution gave institutional expression to these fundamental commitments: equality, liberty, democracy, sovereignty, and a cosmopolitan identity. Then comes the next question. What were the institutional arrangements made by the Constituent Assembly? The third factor ensuring effectiveness of a constitution is a balanced arrangement of the institutions of government. The basic principle is that the government must be democratic and committed to the welfare of the people. The Constituent Assembly spent a lot of time in evolving the right balance among the various institutions like the executive, legislature and the judiciary, and this led to the adoption of the parliamentary form and the federal arrangement, which would distribute governmental powers between legislature and the executive on one hand and between the states and the central government on the other hand. The framers of the constitution were not averse to borrowing from other constitutional traditions, so they borrowed a number of provisions from different countries, but borrowing these ideas was not slavish imitation. Each provision of the constitution had to be defended on grounds that it was suited to Indian problems and aspirations. Then comes a 1-mark question, that is, which country has a series of documents that are referred to as constitution? That is United Kingdom. United Kingdom has a series of documents that are referred to as constitution. This is a very important question. Please do learn this. I have written 6 points each for every question because the questions consisting of 6 marks also come in the examination. This time we are having our term 1 exams as MCQ based or as objective questions, but we need to prepare ourselves for the finals. So I'm again saying, if you people are going according to my notes, please do learn these notes by heart. Otherwise, if you are going according to your choice, then do read the chapter and the parts that I have marked as very important. Please go through those parts very carefully. And guys, this was all for today's video, and don't forget to hit like the video and comment whatever you liked in today's video or whether it was useful or not, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye guys.